All right, here we go. Mid-month checking in stars and cards. So let me bring in my soul sis to join us for a little chat on these mid-month. Come and join us if you're going to catch it live. We're going to be pulling some cards, chatting on these energies with what feels like months, but actually just 14 days in.
Oh,
Here's
all right. I think
she's getting herself flipped around.
that's it.
There she
But
is.
at least, I think we have the same problem again. I can't see you.
I can see clearly now.
All right. It's all good. Let's just see.
Ah, we're good. Yeah. Just bring us in here. So you can't see me again?
No.
That's so
Let me
strange.
see if it, I don't know. Let me see if it would work from the other phone. Request join.
Hello, hello. If you're joining, we're just getting ourselves situated here. New year, new live. Mila can't see me. So we're going to be chatting on our mid-month energies here. We had quite a big first full moon of 2025, that full moon in Cancer. It was very spectacular here. Clear skies, you could see Mars conjunct to the moon. It was really beautiful. So I know there's quite a light show being put on this month. So let's see. I'm going to ask Mila again to come in, and hopefully she'll be able to see me. Riding the waves of technical difficulties. Let's see. There she is.
Okay, again, let's see. No, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, it's fine. I have two phones. We're just
Okay.
going to.
Okay. We're just gonna, again, we're gonna modify. We're going to go with the flow.
We're just gonna do what we can. It's all good.
Temperance, baby. That's where we're at right now in our spread. So our episode 33, when we tuned in back in December for the January energies, the middle of the month was temperance, coming in with patience, balance. So thank you for your patience if you're watching this as we get going here. We are going to pull some cards today, just kind of see what wants to come forward. Mila suggested a beautiful deck that we love, the Inner Child Oracle. So we're going to feel into that in these post-Cancer full moon waves, and the Psychic Tarot for the Heart, right? So how you doing? Are you seeing me on your alternate device?
Yeah, I see you on my other phone.
How many
But
fingers am I holding out?
It's
Do
okay.
you see me? How many fingers?
Well, I'm delayed, so I'll see you in a few seconds.
All right, so, well, why don't we get the cards up, and that way, once you can see, we'll be able, I'll start shuffling. We were chatting before we came on, just kind of, trading our stories as we've come into these first 14 days of the year. Believe it or not, as I was saying, it feels like so much more time has passed.
That is true.
So let's think, what do we want to do? We want to pull a couple of cards with what intention?
I think, like we did last time, where we coming from, where we are at, and where we heading,
Ooh.
because we are still in this after effects of the Cancer full moon, and the North Node just moved into Pisces. So,
All right, yeah, and rightfully the after effects of 2024, right? I mean, we are in the 2025 energies, but we brought some things with us. So past, present, future focus sounds good. All right, so let's just see what wants to come up today. First card for some where we're coming from. We've got Flow, the Wheel of Fortune. So indeed, the wheel has turned and we are flowing into the new season, the new year, calendar year that is. One of many waves that will be moving through this first part of the year with New Year's, even at the end of this month, the Lunar New Year coming in, the year of the wood snake, and then later the astrological New Year. So, flow. Then we have present. See what's coming in here for the present energies. Ooh, Five of Cups. Change your focus. That sounds about right on the other side of a Cancer full moon. What's come up? I was tapping into that in the empowerment full moon reading, revisiting the little reel I had made, which was this visual of the high tide and all that it brings in, and then the receding as it goes out, and just all those treasures that are left on the beach, you know, and that analogy of sifting through all of that and those feels and what we have coming forward. So that feels really aligned there. Change your focus. We get that one pretty often.
Yeah, it's either Five of Pentacles or Five of Cups.
Yeah.
And occasionally Five of Swords.
Yeah. So now let's pick one for where we're going, where we're heading. So let's see. Throat chakra. So yeah, there is this clearing that's happening, and that's another 5 actually. So we have 5 of Cups and we have the 5th chakra, the throat chakra coming in. So I'm going to pull a clarifying card with that, but it is definitely highlighting for us. And I actually used the aquamarine throat chakra spray before I came on. And I know a lot of us have been experiencing different types of things with congestion and blockages and things. Tis the season in many parts of the world for a little ick and clearing.
Absolutely.
So let's see. Clarifying card. Observe, Hanged Man. This is my favorite card in both of these decks for sure. I love this card. This is perfect. Actually, the Hanged Man came up on the Empowerment Sharecast this week for how we are growing. So how we're growing and where we're going. So this is our future card of perspective and observe and seeing things from all those different angles. So just to share with you guys. Can you see now, Mila?
Yeah, I can. Well, I mean, I can see it about 1 minute delayed, but I can see it.
Okay. Oh, I'll have to remember that's the delay. Yeah, guys, we're rolling with it, but we're having that weird technical difficulty where she can't see me. So she's watching on a different device if you're just joining, so you know why. But that's the thing. Patience was so key in our reading for this month because, you know, on that episode 33, when we tapped into these energies, we got the patience card from the Queen of the Moon. And we got the patience card of the Psychic Tarot, Temperance. And now here we are hung up with perspective, that Hanged Man. So, you know, getting stuck and kind of in different positions that, you know, we have an opportunity to what? Change our focus. So, so anyway, I'll stop talking. Maybe you can share with me some of your thoughts then with those cards coming up that we have. We got 2 major arcana.
Yeah, the Wheel of Fortune, that's definitely, it's quite interesting to me because you could say that the 2 major arcanas, the first and the third one, are reversed because it's like we are heading towards Wheel of Fortune year next year, 2026, and we just coming from the Pisces age, you know, like the Hanged Man, which is Neptune and stuff. So in a sense, we have to go through the past to get to where we're going, but the where we're going is already present in our reality because Pluto moved into Aquarius for, you know, for good 20 years in November. So I really feel that with the 5 of Cups that is in between of all of that, this is what you and I know many other people have been talking about and started talking about having to become a conscious creator of our reality. The change of focus. Yeah, what we can see is the spilled cups, but what about the reality you want to manifest? And that one is up to you. So it really is this like a mind-boggling alteration of a perspective and perceiving reality from the point of view that you want to create, not from the point of view that is in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point because yeah, the cards are really showing that because this was our past, the flow card.
Yeah.
And so change your focus to the future. There's a forward focus. And
Mm.
there's an opportunity here to, again, this is the throat chakra. So we're really talking about expression and communication and clearing things, blockages, and then really having this opportunity to observe from many different places, you know, not just only creating from the past, only flowing with what we know. So we're in a bit of uncharted territory. And in the
Okay.
present, the Five of Cups isn't denying that that's an emotional trip. You know, it can be
Mm.
because the Five of Cups is about that mourning the loss and the things that were spilled from those cups. And yet we, you know, feel those feels, ride those waves, but change your focus because the future is bright. This is such a futuristic card to me, like really feeling that observe card. One of the cool things about it is each version of her in every corner actually has a different earring, if it comes up here for everyone, that represents the four seasons, the four elements. So, you know, she has her conscious self in the center, and maybe she's only aware of what she can see, you know, what you've known, but actually there are aspects of you in all four corners that you can tap into at any time. So even when you are here now in a place, and again, remembering that our middle of the month card was also temperance, calling for patience,
Mm.
calling for balance and moderation. Um, there's definitely this movement forward that we're seeing here in the cards.
Yeah, and I also feel that it's interesting because, like, first of all, like I feel that this is kind of nudging us towards all these different timelines. You know, which again, I'm going to start from the beginning. So temperance represents it's Sagittarius card, right? Because Jupiter is the wheel of fortune. So yeah, so we have actually wheel of fortune present here as well. So that's very interesting because from traditional perspective, Pisces was ruled by Sagittarius, and now we see in this observe card, which is the hangman, the Neptune card. It's showing that you can choose to be any of these timelines. You can, wherever you are in your life, you can switch to any of these seasons of your life. It just depends what you tune in yourself into frequentially wise, and also what did you learn from the past versions of yourself. So I really feel this Jupiter, Neptune, Gemini, very strong connection, because Jupiter and Neptune being the modern rulers of the Pisces North Node, where we head in now for this next year and a half. But currently Mercury is the ruler of Jupiter, because Mercury is the ruler of Gemini, which is where Jupiter currently is retrograde, and Mercury is in Capricorn, which is about us become the conscious creator of reality. You know, you have the ability to master your thoughts, especially while Jupiter is in Gemini, and then we're going to be learning to master our emotions when Jupiter moves into Cancer. So it's very interesting how with all of these spilled cups, you know, the Five of Cups, and this change of focus, we have the opportunity to see not just what was or didn't work out the way we wanted it to, because it served as the contrast to show us what we wanted, and now we have the opportunity to tune into the timelines where that will become their reality, even though it's not what's manifested yet. So to me, this is all very quantum.
Mm. Yeah. And I think that, you know, for those of us that are still stuck on, yes, but, yeah, but what about, you know, these spilled cups and these things, right? And so there's a sense of like, well, if something has spilled or left or lost or perhaps never was in your cups, and you're sort of reconciling the notion that you're moving on from an expectation or a timeline that you were on, what has that created space for? And you know what's trying to come in, but also this throat chakra, then I feel like we're stuck on something here that once we clear it, you know, if anyone is still feeling stuck, because like I said, this is hangman energy. We did have that show up this week when we tapped into the collective energies for our spread this week. But that perspective card, which is right here, I got to show you guys because it's awesome. This is coming from the winter season tarot. So it's another take on that observe card. Awesome snowboarding, which I've said several times. It's
Yeah.
not my bag, but I support anybody who does it. But again, flipped upside down, seeing it from a new perspective. This came up in the position of Thursday's energy this week. How are we growing? How are we growing as a collective? That we're now beginning to see that in the stuckness, in the losses, in those things that we've been maybe really perseverating on in that Five of Cups, is actually the greatest awarenesses and aha moments that are coming in to bring in, you know, that new clarity in this hanged man, in this observe energy. That now we begin to see those new pathways, that those new quantum timelines that we couldn't see before. That when we change our focus, right? When we say the thing, when we clear the thing, when we release the thing, then we begin to start to create space. And that's really what I think is available for all of us at this time. And again, we're going to do that in our own time, you know, so then that depends on where you are in this space, because I always feel touchy about that Five of Cups crying over spilled milk. Like, okay, yeah, change your focus. I get it. You know, giving it the respect and the time and space that it takes to, you know, change our bearings and switch, you know, focus. But, you know, the recurring message is, you know, just trust that, and this is where the patience came in last when we tuned in here for this month, that we got two cards that are saying patience. And I was saying it felt like wait for it, because when you're in that moment of like, yeah, but here's all the things, and it's like, just wait for it, you know, like, and then having this opportunity now to take off in this quantum leap.
Yeah, and this is also, as we know, because Mars is in retrograde. So this is not the time necessarily for us to go jump in with regards to the physical reality. This is the inward processing and also the opportunity to, you know, do some reevaluation, do some healing, do some introspection, and really decide like which way do you want to go once the time to take a move forward, you know, the inspired action when it comes. So yeah, I mean, this is so connected to the astrology because of course the full moon in Cancer conjuncted Mars, you know, like all in Cancer, and the Five of Cups, is it still a Cancer card or is it a Scorpio card? 2, 3, 4.
It's watery.
Yeah, I believe. Either way, it is one of the watery signs, right? So I mean, yeah, so it's like all of these emotions are coming up to the surface, especially with regards to what got illuminated to you that you've learned in the past 6 months since the new moon in Cancer, when was the seeding of this lunation, and what we have the opportunity to build up on, let go of, and yeah, change the focus on. But yeah, it doesn't diminish the human experience. So whatever you're going through it for a reason, and there is still time and space for honoring these emotions before you move on from them, because would we just sweep them under the carpet, we wouldn't learn the lessons. So yeah,
it's such a good point. And now as you say that, it's like, yeah, specifically for myself personally, I mean, the new moon in Cancer was very significant for me in some things that came up at that time that, just like clockwork, you know, came back around. I was moving through it yesterday and it just kind of pinged back on my radar. And I don't know what comes first, the chicken or the egg. Is it like I'm thinking like, ooh, yeah, that's right, it was the new moon in Cancer, so now I'm all in those feels. But change your focus is perfect for me because, you know, as I think about my own situations, as I revisit those things, I can change my focus and choose to see them from any number of perspective here. And it actually ends up being the fuel. It actually ends up being the thing, the fertilizer that nourished this potential for me to create something new from that. And so when I change my focus, and then next step is the throat chakra, you know, as far as clearing and expressing it, then there's this infinite potential. So, you know, it can be both. That's the thing. Like, it can be something that brings about some really heavy or watery feels, you know, and be with that, but use it, you know, don't just sit there and watch it. You know, a lot of times this card, inspired by the Light Seers version, gives me sort of like things that are circling the drain, you know, things that have either already left or are on their way out. And if you put all of your energy into that, it's draining, it's pulling from you. So watch it go down the drain, but then change your focus. Let it leave or change form, you know, because if you're moving through releasing something or a big change, and it could be a welcome change or it could be something that you weren't ready to have leave or somewhere in between, let that thing really inspire you to take that action then when it's time. but there is still this sense of, as you mentioned, the retrogrades, we're really being given that gentle opportunity to look and look again, like look over it again before we're really launching into taking that action.
And this, in a sense, it's, like it's a first lunation for 2025. So it's setting up the theme for 2025, and it's the first lunation with the North Node in Pisces. So what is this telling us? That there is going to be a lot of things going down the drain. There's going to be a lot of releasing of the dense or stuck or trapped emotion that we didn't allow ourselves to feel. So that's why, and I keep saying that in every single video I recorded this year so far, that this first 3 months, especially of this year, are like for the inner work, the shadow work, because until, Mars stations direct, and I mean, then still in Cancer until April, but until I would say the equinox, the Aries season, because we are now going into Aquarius, but Mars is still retrograde. Then Venus is going to go retrograde, and then we'll be in the Pisces season, and Venus is going to conjunct North Node 3 times in the Pisces, so there is still a lot of releasing with regards to that which we were letting go of in the past year and a half with the South Node in Libra, this externalization of our power and always looking outside of ourselves, but now trying to remove that, from our life. It's like, like when you have a thorn or something, a wound in your skin, and you take it out, and there is all this blood that needs to come out, and and then it needs to be cleansed and whatever, and then treated, and then it will be able to heal, right? So now we are in this process, this Venus going through now Pisces, and then it's going to go to Aries, and then it's going to have retrograde and conjunct the North Node 3 times. This is the purification, in a sense. This is the opportunity to let that old stuff go before, we go into the new astrological year. I know we are shortly to be moving into new lunar year, and that is the snake, which is the shedding old skin. So everything is really like layering up things for us. And as much as we are potentially, many of us, like myself, impatient to just move on and let's get going, and let's just see new things, like, no, there is a divine time, patience. Just like, there is no coincidence. This patience card and Neptune, which is the card of the delay and looking at things from different perspective and stuff like that. There is no coincidence for that, because all of these things need to take place first to create a stronger foundation for the things to follow. Otherwise, we'll be revisiting this over and over and over again, and we don't have time for that anymore.
Yeah. And what I was just getting with your thorn analogy was like, anytime you have something like that, like a little thorn, a splinter, like a little hangnail, but it irritates you so much. Like it's this tiny little thing, but it's like you can't think about anything else until you resolve that thing, right? So it's like some of this stuff is getting louder, is getting more like you can't ignore it, So that thorn has to be plucked out. Let the blood flow, okay, in terms of the analogy of changing our focus, because move through the feels and this sense of, like we say, it's hanging around for a while with all those watery energy, but use it. We're using it as fuel. We're using it to transmute so that we can create from there. So, there's a lot of potential in that too. Once you remove that thorn, change your focus, then it opens up wide, and there's so much potential there coming in. And we go back again, because now we go back full circle then to the flow, to the wheel, turning. And like, as you mentioned, equinox and all the things. I feel like in any given moment, like I said, now I'm in April, like it's like we don't even know where we are anymore, because time is just wild, like it's like feels like we've covered so much ground 14 days in.
Yeah, that's what I was saying in my last practical application of astrology, that I can't believe I only been in Mexico for 2 months. I thought I was here 3 months already. Like, I feel like I covered such a vast territory with regards to my own process and my healing, that I'm like, what? I only been here 2 months? It feels like forever ago.
Right. So so I think with that, you have tapped in a little bit to that Aquarius new moon already, right? You did that one already? Because I know you're.
Oh no, that's coming on Sunday.
Oh, that's on your list. Sorry, not to get ahead. I was gonna say, I have.
Yeah, I mean, come on! I'm recording it 10 days, 10 days before the actual nation. So now you're telling me, oh, you should record it 2 weeks before. I'm like, I'm already struggling to be grounded in the present moment, because I'm taking a week off next week. So I'm pre-recording some videos and I'm like completely lost in time because I'm talking about something that is happening 2 weeks from now. And then I'm also recording for Instagram the current transit. And I'm like, oh, I thought this happened a long time ago already, you know, so I'm like confused.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know, not to rush you. Patience, temperance. But yeah, just feeling into, as we're doing this mid-month check-in, that then we have at the end of the month, we have Aquarius season. We have that new moon in Aquarius arriving. So I know that the card that had come up for us when we tapped in was the Eight of Swords, which was called Trapped in Fear in the Psychic Tarot. But we really talked in that episode about kind of, again, changing our focus to see about those prisons of our own making, this perception of limited options. And of course, the swords bringing in the thoughts, the beliefs, the ideas that we could be liberating ourselves from too. So,
and to me, it makes perfect sense because, of the Jupiter in Gemini still retrograde at the time of this new moon in Aquarius. Jupiter is not stationed in direct until February 4th. This makes perfect sense because it really makes it so uncomfortable with all this, like you and I agreed that our mind can be a tyrant. It can like literally beat you up, like just in our own head, that this nightmare of our own making, right? And Jupiter, this is what Jupiter is doing to us. It's literally pushing us to the point of like, how much worse do you need it to get before you decide that actually you are in charge of your thoughts, not your thoughts are in charge of you. So so as I was being advised recently in my own channeling session, you need to train your own mind, it's untrained.
Yeah. Well, I feel like this thorn analogy that you just came out with is just coming around to be used in all different ways. So I wanted to pull out the Eight of Swords in this deck just to kind of have a visual. This one's called Helpless and Hopeless, but it's like, this idea that like, no matter which way I look, it's going to be hard. It's so far to go. There's all these mountains to climb. And yet this card asks, maybe there's another way that we didn't see because of, being caught up in our beliefs and our ideas about it. And so it's like those thorns, pluck those old thoughts out because they don't serve. And also they're not real. They're not true, right? Or you have an opportunity to ask, is this true for me? Just because it's loud, just because we feel that irritation and you can't think about anything else, like that thorn, let that be the squeaky wheel to get your attention to really change your focus and clear out those things so that you can create space to blaze new pathways forward, which is something that this version of that card is showing us, to see that maybe I could just go straight ahead instead of having to climb one way or the other. But even then, it doesn't mean that it's all clear, because that would be kind of boring, like the wheel turns, right? You got to flow. You have to flow with it. So it goes this way or that way. But yeah.
And what's interesting that, now you show the card, it looks almost identical to the card you have for today, the block or challenge this week, that's Two of Swords. It looks almost the same card. So if we,
I was going to say that. I was actually going to pull it in and I just happened to have it here. Yeah, this is today's card. So this came up on Sunday. We tuned in on my Empowerment Sharecast. We pulled our cards for this week. We got the Two of Swords for the potential block or challenge. This is the Eight of Swords, very connected in, there's a limited perspective. There's a limited view. There's a sense of being stuck, like she sees this way or that way. What about this? This is exactly the same. Yep. Look at that.
Exactly. So I feel like, if we don't learn to trust to our intuition, because that's what it says, like your mind can play tricks on you. So if you don't learn to trust your intuition and see outside of the box, you get to Eight of Swords and you still need to learn the same lesson.
Exactly. So it's going to come around again, which is what that Wheel of Fortune says, which is, when we're in flow, then we have this opportunity to say, and this is what came up, with this card, was to say, let that be the thing. When you feel bound, when you feel stuck, I don't know which way to go, or I don't have clarity, or the options are few, let that be the thing that says, oh, wait, what am I supposed to do when I feel that? Oh yeah, look up, look around, see what else can possibly be available to me to work with in this moment, and start to develop that as you're tools that you use. It's not to say that you're never going to hit a dead end or find yourself at a crossroads where you're not clear. And then that's where we have this guidance that's saying, you know, change your focus. And so, and this one says, oh, it's just the throat chakra. Yeah, I know it says I speak, I think, in the book, but, you know, again, it is about expressing it and like expectorating it, I'm feeling, which is like to get it out, you know, clear it out. Don't just keep swallowing it down, because you're keeping all of that inside, and that is creating this dis-ease and this imbalance that we are having this opportunity to heal from. So, I mean, they just keep, it doesn't matter. You see, we're bringing in how many decks here? It's all coming in. So
it's always the same. It takes you back to, you need to master your mind, okay?
yeah, I mean, it really comes back to these thoughts have been able to rule as tyrants, you know, these old beliefs and these ideas that we continue to turn and turn around. And that's where, you know, we just set the intention here to pull these cards as past, present, and the future. So where are we coming from? Where are we now? And where are we headed? And the guidance here and now is to change your focus. This is going to come back around again. That's the nature of this card. It's the wheel of fortune. The wheel turns, right? And so seasons change, it comes back around again. But when it does, you'll come back to it with all of these perspectives that you have had in the meantime, all of the tools that you have gathered in having the experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. So
You know, it's
January,
gonna come around again because Uranus is gonna move into Gemini once Jupiter is done with it. So Jupiter is the gentler reminder of changing focus. Once Uranus gets there, you're changing your focus whether you want to or not.
not so gentle.
Not so gentle.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Wait for it, and then it's go time. It's
Exactly.
go time. So you decide. All right, so where are we at? Should we pull our inner child card just to get that up here and see where we're going?
Yeah, because that's where it all started, right? The program, all the anxiety, all our unhealthy attachment styles, all the fear and need for control and protection. That's where it all comes from. You know, what did we experience as children? So yeah, let's have a look what the inner child has to
Yeah,
say.
let's see. This is such a beautiful deck. Amanda Lynn Aisling bringing in this beautiful inner child oracle. See what's coming forward. Yep. Ooh. Oh, that was a couple that jumped out. So let's get them back in.
Gemini, you know, two.
Yeah, that's right. They come in pairs. What is coming forward for us here? January. All right. This one, I need the glasses. All right. Breathe in. Practice breath work today. Card 7. Beautiful. Wow. So it is almost like, I often say about this card that it has a little bit of this like scorched earth, like it's all dry and depleted and just feels helpless. But what's on the other side where we see that sun in the horizon? And I feel like this is the potential that we have coming in here with this breathe in energy. Practice breath work today. So let's see what the message is there.
Well, I also feel because breath is about present moment, learning to be present, and this is the only way we can stop the monkey mind, you know, like to learn to be present through meditation, mindfulness, journaling, whatever works for you. And this is the only moment that you have to create different reality, because you know what you're experiencing at the moment is manifestation of the past, but the future is not yet created. It's being created at the present moment. So I know in many like many people who are teaching this, the guidance is breath work, because it helps you to become present, to still your mind. You know, there is no danger right here, right now. It's all good, you know. So I really feel this is important part, because the 7 is also a number associated with Neptune, obviously North Node in Pisces. We know 7 in tarot is the Cancer card, is the Chariot, which is also like, if you don't master the horses, you know, your conscious and your subconscious mind, then they're gonna master you, right? So everything is connected, and really the breath, I know for work, they understand how important the
Whoop,
breath
we
is,
just
because that
got
is
it
your
too.
essence, the I
Sorry,
am.
froze you for a second there. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. I think we got, I mean, we got it. Yeah. Take a beat, take a breath, because, come back to that center. And that's oftentimes, yes, you do hear those exercises like square breathing and,
Mm.
getting into the rhythm of your breath, especially when you are kind of getting taken by all those horses, the mind, all of it, the anxiety, like different things that can come up, which come up as a trauma response or a reaction to something that, again, we're tapping in here to this beautiful inner child oracle. So the breathe in energy coming forward. So the message here says, we breathe in, we breathe out. This is such a simple yet momentous thing. Our breath brings life to our bodies and has the power to bring peace to our souls. If you have pulled this card, then it might be time to focus on your breath today. Yeah, I think it's like a be here now, really being here now, and, taking a breather, taking a beat. Yes, to again, be with what you're processing here with the loss, those 5 cups, this energy of presence, but then change your focus. So we have the breath in, and then we have the out with the expression of that throat chakra coming in as well.
Mm.
So yeah, that's a beautiful card.
And it's also all the green, again, all the
Yeah.
healing, the throat, the heart chakra, there is a lot of that coming through.
And also you do see a lot of the clouds, the mist, some of the things aren't totally clear there at the mountaintop, because again, it's still unfolding. So no, we can't see everything from here. And so that reminds us exactly this, is that, like I say, your conscious self here and now sees only a very limited view, when actually all of this is here. All of this is here. So there's this, faith and trust in the notion that, like, everything I see in front of me right here and now that I may be feeling some type of way about is not all there is. And I know this, even if I can't see. And so in order for me to really embody that, it's the breath, to really breathe in, take a moment and get centered. And, even through that, it goes on to different exercises that you can do, and journaling and things that can help you too to connect in with envisioning what's there, because then that starts to bring you back into you being the creator of your reality. And what do you want, and what do you want to focus your energy on? Because if you really sit there and just focus on everything that is lost, or that is leaving or draining or no longer serving, then you're not creating. Then you're not, well, you're creating, but you're not creating the new. You're creating from the past, from what has already come to pass. And all of these things are tools, and that's what we were saying, is like, as we move through these things, bring in those tools and utilize them, so that each time we find that we move through with perhaps a little more grace and ease, even if it is challenging or difficult.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you see, because like when you say to people that, oh, you need to become a conscious creator of reality, a lot of people are like, well, how does it work? But actually, I think the main thing is to, before you see like new manifestation of reality, because that is going to take a little bit of time, the density to manifest. But what really this is meant to mean is that you start experiencing the reality differently. So you're creating the reality different from the point of your perception, which you have the power to change. So it doesn't mean that that which you perceive is changing in front of your eyes like a mirage, like a miracle, but you see it differently, and therefore your experience is changing. And then because you get the ball rolling, eventually all you will see manifested, because what you will start attracting into your reality will be in resonance with the new perspective and perception. Therefore, the reality in its form will change. But I know for many people, when you say, well, you are a creator of reality, you need to become a creator, so they think that you're all just going to start like pulling things out of the hat like a magician, like here is a bunny, here is something, whatever. But it is all starting from us mastering the thoughts, the emotion, changing the perspective, and everything that we see, which is still a manifestation of the past, looking at it through the new filter of consciousness. Therefore, that which we observe is changing, and our experience of that is changing because we change inwardly. So it is all this like very ethereal, intangible process to start with before the manifestation come through. Because I know for a lot of people, you know, straight away the ego will come in and go like, well, what is she talking about? You know, this is all like lying to ourselves. Like, look at your life, you look at your world around you, you know, nothing is changing. But the experiencing of that has to change first.
Exactly. And that's where we were getting that double patience that was saying, wait for it, because there's this opportunity for us to, you know, we can do that story that you just said in our sleep. We've done that before where we have that, you know, maybe like more pessimistic view, like is the cups have spilled or look at this mess. But actually we have this opportunity to change the way we see it. And actually this is reminding me of the Suffering in Silence card that we pulled for this month, because we pointed out in our episode 33 of Stars and Cards that she's at the top of some peak that she's climbed, you know, yeah. And there's this sense of like, you know, Nine of Swords is like this mental torment again, churning it around, spinning the wheels of look how far it is to go out there in the misty distance where I see all those things that aren't mine or that I don't have, and how am I going to get there? And yet we were saying that we saw it as quite potential for a positive perspective to say, look how far you've come already to get to the top of that mountain peak. And so that's all about perception. So whether I see these mountains as like, whoa, look at that, it's another mountain for me to climb, and I wonder what that view is going to look like, and really enjoying the journey to get there, or if it's like, oh, you know, either way, I got to climb all these steps and look at these mountains in my way to get there. You know, both are true. You decide. And that's really what the Two of Swords is saying today as a potential block or challenge, is that we're blocked by the perception that says it has to be this or that. And that our default is the negativity bias, because the ego is trying to keep us safe, because, you know, we're just trying to keep it easy and safe and predictable. So that's where it's just a challenge to yourself to just give it a try, you know, like just try it, because we've used these other methods up until now, perhaps, that we now have an opportunity to, you know, allow for just what you described is exactly what happens. Then we build that momentum. Then we start to shift how we see it, and then those things change. So,
and it's the turning of the tide that is the hardest, because we are turning something that is, you know, the neural pathways, they are like stuck, right? Like they're not stuck because, you know, our brain, the neuroplasticity, we can rewire it, but you are creating new pathways. So until the new pathways become the walked path, you know, there is a path created, it will want to default to the old ways, but it just becomes easier, you know, and like it's just that the what you say, intention, and Mercury in Capricorn, discipline and determination, and just sticking with it, and then eventually that will become the new habit, and it will be just so much easier to perceive reality in that new perspective. But it's the turning of the tide that is the harder part, because like you said, the ego wants to keep you protected, like, no, this is what worked before, this is safe, you know, this is what we want and stuff. But we know with this Saturn Neptune moving into Aries this year, you know, Neptune already in March, and Uranus into Gemini in July, I mean, then they retrograde back, but then fully in 2026 there is no going back. We are preparing for this next chapter of our human evolution, and this is the year of preparation, and whether you are ready for it or not, it's coming. So, you know,
go with the flow, go with it, right? Which is, we go back to where we came from, which is, again, that ripple effect. So it's like really an opportunity. And I love how we're connecting in with that heart chakra in this card, because like breathing in, like getting centered, getting grounded, even when we're waist high in water, the emotions, the feels, you know, and they have played such a role up until this point, because oftentimes we operate from our emotions, and a lot of choices are being made from that emotional place versus this guidance of wait for it, like feel it, flow in it, but then you choose, you know, not to move from that emotional space, because that is where we start to create all of that turmoil, which is why we're getting all these swords and the water, because they're both saying the thoughts and the feels need to get it together, right? You gotta get it together. So breathe in, so you can get to that space when it's go time, and things are moving. I mean, things are going and things are happening, but as you were saying, we're getting that gentle nudge now. Moving forward, it's going to be, there's much more momentum. So be in flow, and you can do that now by, moving through this guidance of being in flow, changing your focus, expression of the throat chakra, clearing, communicating, observing all of these different perspectives, and of course, returning to the breath. So they're really weaving that story together for us here in this first month of 2025.
And that's so perfect, like really thinking about it. Breath is, I'm not saying it's the only tool, but it's the easiest tool that is literally available to everyone, at any time, anywhere, to still both at the same time, the thoughts and emotions. It's the one tool that helps you to still, to neutralize both at the same time. And how many of us are not even aware of it and don't use it consciously, because many of us are shallow breathers and just everything is happening on autopilot, like you said. Majority of our life every day is happening on autopilot, and then be surprised why every day is the same and nothing ever changed, and every year is the same. And I'm like, come on, we are asleep behind the wheel. It's time to wake up.
Yeah, and it's so true. Like anytime I do a guided breathing exercise, which is also very free, relatively accessible anywhere, you can find a free guided, breathing, mindful meditation or exercise. I become aware of just how shallow my breathing is, or just how much more space there actually is for me to breathe into in my body when you're guided. That's just helpful for me. I mean, everybody has their own practices, but yeah, it definitely is speaking to, literally, like we say, we've got the head and the heart being highlighted and the throat and the lungs sitting right there. Hey, don't forget about us, guys, because these are all working everything in concert, ways forward, ways to heal and clear and create space, and then create new from there, utilizing all of it, which ultimately then we're bringing in all the elements, to create from. But yeah, it's really feeling like seems so simple, but yet something that many of us need to be reminded or have an opportunity to explore, maybe even for the first time, really connecting in. Hermit, here we go. Year 9 of the hermit, going within and really having that introspection. Start with your breath. Yeah.
And just interesting, what just came to me is like, well, it's no surprise that so many of us at this time of the year, usually, like we started with, are getting cold, sinuses and stuff, because if there is something that's going to make you aware of your breath, is when you can't breathe.
Oh yeah.
That's when you really become aware of it. And it's interesting because with the South Node in Virgo, Virgo being ruled by Mercury, and Mercury actually rules the top part of the lungs. The aerolis or whatever it's called. Some part of the lungs is actually ruled by Mercury, and of course that's connected to the communication, and the South Node now being a kind of Virgo, and like with Mercury being Capricorn, where do we feel, and I know from my personal experience that you are aware of, where do we feel we cannot express ourselves because of the internal, external circumstances, that, we either cannot assert our authority or feel uncomfortable, or we don't know how to put the right boundary or healthy boundary or whatever. And then it starts impacting our throat, and then it starts impacting our sinuses, and then we can't not just talk but breathe. So and then it affects your heart, because then you feel like I cannot be authentic, I can't express myself. So we can see how our body is continuously communicating with us and telling us what needs to change, what needs to be adjusted. Virgo, adjusted.
Yeah, and let that be your guide then. If this is too, like you said, if this notion of, creating your own reality and, all this ethereal stuff, how do you feel in your body? Because that's talking to you too. And maybe you're more comfortable, tuning in with the tangible, and that's okay, but remember, that's the last place. That's that dense layer that we finally get, so if you're feeling that in your body, and we all are feeling it somewhere, wherever you're feeling tension, wherever you're feeling that in the body, that's also a great way to tap in that maybe For some, that works more to come from that place with what you can, you know, smell, taste, touch, and all that. So yeah, breathe in, breathe out, and also speak out, you know, and clear out, because that's, and it's so true. It's like 'tis the season for all of that stuff, and you know, just kind of getting backed up. But this is where we have this opportunity to clear and change our focus. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just perfect. So, I mean, the bottom line message is like, yeah, things are in motion, but no, maybe not as far as we want them to, because there is a lot of healing, clearing taking place, and just take a breath and be patient. Take a breath and be patient.
Yeah. Be patient, and recognize that even those icky steps that we don't feel like dealing with are steps in the direction. Like, you, even the smallest action, the smallest step forward is taking action, is moving forward, even if it feels like you're stuck. Perspective, you know, and again, that's what we get here. And I know that this energy will also just continue to be coming up as we move into these these energies into this new year. So yeah. Wow.
Well, this was just the, you know, just the first theme for the year, which is going to, of course, will be permeating throughout the entire year, because it's the first lunation and it's Cancer, and Cancer is, we feel it. It's in our bodies, in our inner realities, in our inner world, and it's really making us to question who we are, our identity, our way of experiencing this life. You know, so I mean, it is all perfect, because that's going to take you back home, Hermit. To reevaluate where you're going, what is this future, this star you're heading towards, you know? So it all takes you back to yourself. You know, it doesn't matter which way you look at it. It always takes you back home, back to yourself,
Yeah.
Cancer.
Yeah, one way or another, we come back around to flow. The wheel will continue turning. So yeah, it's just 1 month in the series that we'll have an opportunity to check in, which I guess will be here before we know it. Now that we're doing our mid-month check-in, episode 34 will be coming in the coming weeks, to stay tuned for. But yeah, so catching this here today. Thank you, everybody who popped in live. Great to see everybody. If you're getting the replay, we also put this over on YouTube, so we'll put that out there, and we'll be reconvening at some point to talk about February.
Absolutely.
Believe it or not.
Absolutely. And the Chinese Lunar New Year, right? The same.
I know. I'm definitely bringing one of my decks to our next Stars and Cards chat, because I have some fun decks from last year. The Chinese 5 Elements, the 𝓢𝓽𝓪𝓻𝓼 Tarot is another one that has a lot of fun flair in there for Chinese astrology. So we will be talking about the year of the wood snake, and turning another new page, another new year that we'll be ushering in as we move into February. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I hope everybody's going to join us there on YouTube.
Yeah.
For that one.
Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, we'll post here on Instagram and in all our social media spaces where you can catch that. We put them on a playlist and all the things. So yeah, thank you guys for meeting here today. And yeah, there's never a shortage of cards. Lots of decks. There's plenty of decks where that came from. And we speak to each other in decks. So it's like, Mila's like, oh, the inner child. And I'm like, hold on a second, this one? And she's like, yep, that's the one. I'm like, all right, we'll use that one today.
Yeah, and also like, oh, did you see this new deck? And it's like, oh my God, how many more decks do I need?
And sometimes we just purposely don't look.
Yeah. It just gets, you know, especially like me, if you are without the permanent address, it gets a bit tricky and heavy.
You need a permanent address and pentacles. 2 things that we need in order to make those decks appear. Well, maybe not. Maybe there's other ways that we've yet to explore manifesting that.
Well,
but yeah, it's
all quantum, right? We just stop in.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, that is a wrap on our live. Thank you guys so much for popping in. Again, I'll be sharing the link to our episode 33 if you want to check that out and see what was coming in for January and what's left to go. And we'll see you again soon on the other side. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, have a good time, everyone. Bye.
Bye.